Hello there, men, and welcome to the Masculinism Movement channel, a place for men to be men and talk about masculinity and men's issues. I'm your host, Brian Krall, and today I'm going to be mansplaining to you about some of the different types of sexy, seductive female narcissists that you might encounter out there in the dating world. But first, before I get started, could you just hit that like button for me? Because you know any women who watch this are going to be hitting the dislike button. Now, these are just going to be some of the few general types of sexy, seductive female narcissists that I have encountered out there. I'm sure that there's other types that could be categorized, and if I missed any that you know of, just leave them below in the comments section. But now the first type is the hot girls who will use their perfect bodies like sex objects and basically allow you to have sex with them while they lay there like a hot starfish and then expect you to treat them like some sort of a princess or a queen for doing basically nothing. And who knows what types of strings they were attaching to that act in their mind, because the fact of these women is that they think of themselves as actual sex objects and their bodies as having a certain amount of real world value or even monetary worth. That hot girl who is just laying there like a starfish, not even using her hands or anything, and probably not looking at you in the eyes or talking to you or anything either, may just be caught up in her own mind, scheming about what she's going to use this to get from you after you come. She might even be imagining someone else, which is why she isn't looking directly at you. So that's why if a girl is acting like this with me, I just assume she isn't really into it and I stop. Conversely, there are unattractive and even fat women with incredible sexual skills, enough to enslave an indulgent, hedonistic man such as myself. An average or below average looking woman who just takes a little bit of time and energy to get some sex ed can gain some insane skills and create very powerful sensual experiences. And for a guy who is in his sexual prime and needs to release multiple times a day, it's easy to get addicted to these girls who are easy lays and then also just so happen to give you exponentially more pleasure than the more attractive girls do. I mean, you're having orgasms like fucking volcanoes that make you feel like your body is like exploding with pleasure. They just aren't as fun to look at as the other more attractive girls. But if they aren't too bad looking and have some cute features like many of them do, and they will often know how to accentuate those, and they will often know how to use their personality in a sexy and seductive manner, and thus, they can take whatever strengths they have and use them, and you might end up getting seduced by one of these. And once they've got you hooked on what seems to be infinite pleasure for free, I mean, it's hard to say no. And these are the types of girls who will do anything with you because of the fact that they are grateful that someone who is more attractive than them is having sex with them. So these are the types of girls who are going to be open to all sorts of experimentation with you and who you can just play out all of your kinkiest, wildest sexual fantasies with and end up living a lifestyle of extreme hedonism with. And, that is a trap that is very easy to fall into for a man, again, especially if you are in your prime, as I have with many a woman when I was in my 20s. And then there's the pretty girls who are above average in attractiveness, but not too attractive and can make themselves up to look, like an 8-ish at best, maybe a 9. And then they are very sexual and know how to use their sexuality. And they may be even hypersexual, but they aren't always exceptionally sexually skilled because there's this relationship between attractiveness and sexual skill, generally speaking. Right? So these girls who are pretty are generally going to be sexual enough and good at sex enough so that they can have good sex with you. Like, it generally won't be bad, at least not often. And it can be really good at times, and they may make you come, for the most part, at least eventually, right? But what I think the pretty girls really have going for them is the sense that they give you of connection with them when you are having sex with them, that they make you think that it is more than just physical, that it is some sort of emotional or romantic or passionate type of love making, right? And they also may let you get kinky with them and fulfill certain fantasies. And then there's this whole female stereotype. I was going to call it a character archetype, but it's really just a stereotype of the diva these days. Oh my god. These days, there are lots of divas. These are women who are on the higher end of attractiveness or know how to make themselves appear as being on the higher end of attractiveness and are highly sexual and will use music, dance, photography, fashion, and anything they can, really, any sort of art form or whatever they can to create a public image of a sex icon or sex symbol, or in other words, a sort of cultural meme that is like, a narcissistic, sexy female one. When in actuality, they are generally, in my findings, quite often very sexually frigid, or even if they aren't, they have a lot of sexual issues. All right, and like most women, any sexual relations with any man is going to be purely transactional. So she will either be choosing herself a Chad to get off with, who she is going to use sexually, but most of the time, her sex is going to be her choosing a rich guy to try to use her sexuality to get money from. And so, while once in a while you might get a diva who, because she thinks of herself as this sexual icon or sexual goddess, she may be an enthusiastic lover who might be fun in bed. Most of the time, sex with her at best is her putting on an act, of acting sexy and, acting like she's a really great lover, even if that is not actually the case. And it's oftentimes not the case because these types of women are just too narcissistic to be able to possess any kind of real technical sexual skills, because they think too highly of themselves to ever learn and educate themselves sexually, because they think of themselves as God's gift to, the opposite sex. They think of themselves as this sex symbol, right? So a lot of these women are also going to act like, just having sex with them while they put on this sexy act should be enough. And they won't actually do much more for you than, trying to look good and be sexy during sex. So, if that's enough for you, that might be fun, but otherwise, these women might not actually end up even being able to make you come. And then lastly, let's not forget the new age spiritual girls who make you think that you have this higher spiritual connection, right? And this very special bond, and that you are soulmates even. And when you have sex, it is not just fucking. It is tantric lovemaking. You guys are forming a very deep spiritual bond and becoming one together. And then they only use that to try to brainwash you and make you worship them as your goddess and indoctrinate you with feminism and whatever type of new age spirituality they're into, be it Wicca or most likely the cult of yoga. And don't drink their Kool-Aid. These girls are like sirens, and they will get you high and then fuck your brains out and make you more orgasmic than you ever have been before. And while you are tripping your balls off in a sea of bliss, they will probably get pregnant and maybe do some sex magic with your cum to try to invoke some dark fertility goddess or something to make sure of it. So just steer clear of new age hippie chicks. One moment you're at a festival getting high with one, and the next thing you know, she's talked you into having an orgy with another dude, and you end up getting an STD. True story. So, are any of these narcissistic bitches safe to have some sexual fun with? I'd say no. I mean, I know you probably want me to, at the end of this video, in conclusion, tell you which one is, the best or something like that, but I really can't recommend having sex with any of these women. Maybe if you could strictly keep it to just a one-night stand. But, the narcissistic women who would be worth fucking are also sexually addictive. So asking me to recommend the safest or best one of them to fuck is like asking me which method of doing heroin or crystal meth is safest or best. None are completely safe, and the better the fuck, the more addictive the narcissistic bitch is. Besides, one night is all it takes to catch an STD or for her to steal your sperm, and narcissistic women who are acting extremely seductive and trying very hard to fuck you are exactly the types you have to worry about that the most with. And the only way to stay 100% safe is to not fuck with them at all. That's why it's best to just stay away from the sexy narcissistic bitches, no matter how sexy they are. Don't believe me? Well, in the next video, I'll be talking to you about the exact process that these narcissistic women will take you through if you let them. But that concludes this talk. I hope I mansplained that well enough for you guys out there. Thanks for listening. Be sure to share your own thoughts and opinions by commenting below. If I missed any of the types of sexy, seductive, narcissistic women that you know of, please share your input down there in the comments section. And if you like this video, be sure to hit the like button and share these messages with everyone by sharing the video on social media and talking about these things too. And lastly, check out the links in the description below for other resources for your masculine and personal development and living the life you want to as an independent man. And if you can afford to donate, please do so with the PayPal link below, because your support funds me doing this work and fighting the good fight for men like you. And you can stay tuned for the next video coming out soon, which will be on the relationship with the female narcissist that you can expect to have if you are to have a romance with one. And make sure you subscribe so you'll be notified when that is. And until then, take care of yourselves, men, because no woman out there is going to.